Jagerative, Jai Masters. People seem to think that it's very difficult to know what is spiritual and what is not spiritual, what is guidance and what is ego. There are certain benchmarks that you can use. Like, for example, to be honest. If you want to grow, Ram Dass used to say it takes brutal honesty. It takes brutal honesty. You can make yourself look good, you can talk good, you can do all kinds of stuff. But to really grow spiritually, to really come in tune with that Shakti and have her take over and have the life unfold miraculously in front of you and end up with a life of service when you're not even thinking you're serving, that is all you're doing. That's the highest life. So there's certain things you can watch for. I can start at a high level instead of a low level. Defensiveness. Do you ever feel defensive? Do you ever find yourself needing to defend yourself? I'm not talking about physically. Let's get something straight. Nothing I have ever talked about has to do with physical abuse. If you're physically abused, you have the obligation to leave the situation. Your body was a gift that was given to you. It's not even yours. You don't run it. It runs itself. It's phenomenal. And you have responsibility of taking care of it. So if there's somebody hitting it, abusing it physically, that's never what we're talking about. Do you understand that? We're talking about surrender and acceptance and letting go. And if you end up out of a relationship like that, which you should, I would like it to not be because you're afraid or you're freaking out. It's because you're conscious. I have a responsibility to take care of this body. This is not doing very well, period. We got that bottom line down there? That's a serious bottom line. But again, there's a difference in freaking out and acting out of reaction, which is it's hard not to do. But if you can stay centered and just realize, nope, that's a non-starter, ain't gonna work. Even the first time, by the way. No second overs, right? No hitting aloud. You understand that? Okay. So now let's put that aside. Now let's talk about something that's psychological. Defensiveness. Every one of you are defensive. Every one of you. I don't care what you think. If you're still on this plane, you're defensive. What does that mean to be defensive? It means that your ego cannot handle what took place. And you need to defend your ego. That's what you're defending. You're not defending yourself. The self doesn't need defense. You're defending your ego. You have a self-concept, you have opinions, beliefs, all kinds of stuff, and your ego is afraid that it will be taken away from you, that people won't look at you right, that you better be right, you better defend yourself. If you want to grow spiritually, you never defend yourself. Now we'll talk about what ends up happening, but you look at that and you say, it's not the question of, should I defend? What am I defending? Forget what the person said, forget what the person did, forget what's happening. You have to ask the question, what am I about to defend? But that's assuming you've meditated enough and you're conscious enough to still be there instead of just reacting with defensiveness. If you are conscious, even for a moment, you ask the question, what am I about to defend? Because I guarantee you what you're about to defend stands between you and God. Period. There's no exception under any conditions. Why? You don't need defense. You're in there, in the consciousness. Nothing can touch you. Nothing has anything to do with you. What's happening is your ego got hit, your psyche got hit, and you can't handle it. There are situations where something happened a long time ago, and you still defend yourself about it. You still claim you're right. That is where the real spiritual work is done. Everything else is a game. What clothes you wear, what you eat, how you talk, the fact that you can say nice things and be positive and do affirmations or do mantras, doesn't interest me in any way, shape, or form. That's not what's standing between you and God, that you didn't do your mantra, or that you ate something that not everyone thinks spiritual. It is this that is keeping you from God. Why? Because you're keeping the thing that is down there. You're holding on to something that got insulted, that something that got frayed, that something had to be right. You don't have to be right. It doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. It doesn't make any difference in a billion years whether you're right or wrong about anything. You're sitting on a little stupid planet, spinning in the middle of absolutely nowheres, and 1.3 million of those planets fit inside the sun. And the sun is one star out of 300 billion in your galaxy. And you think it matters whether what you said is right. It doesn't matter one single iota in the realm of things. It matters to you. And the part of you it matters to is a major impediment to your journey home. If you can let go of that instead of defend it, then the situation became spiritual. The fact that you were able to defend yourself and prove that you were right and do this or do that, okay? Now, I always say it's always the Tao. It's not like if something has been said and we need to bring information to bear, not because you personally got insulted or offended or need to prove yourself or need defensive, right? It's just an educational thing. We can all share together and learn something. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, and you know what I'm talking about, that you got upset. You felt challenged. What felt challenged? Your ego. The ego always feels challenged. And that's what stands between you and a blissful flow of Shakti all the time. I've said to you, your life is supposed to be filled with ecstasy. When? Always. Unconditional well-being. Not things have to be a certain way for you to be okay. There is inside of you a flow of Shakti, a flow of spirit, a flow of chi, call it whatever you want, that instead of going down and be used that way, it changes direction. And you're always being fed. It pours out the top of your head, it pours out your hands without you doing a single thing. There are no techniques. It's your natural state. It is your natural state, and you have the right to live in that state. There's a reason you don't live in that state. And I'm telling you what that reason is. It's your ego. It is the personal mind that blocks the energy. And so either you decide, I'm going to continue to defend my personal mind, to prove that I was right, to get what I want, to listen to it, do everything it says to do, and then you're going to stay you. That's what you're doing. You're arguing that I am where I want to be, and I'm going to argue that I get to stay there. Are you where you want to be? You're filled with joy and love and freedom and complete total well-being all the time with no sense of defensiveness or anything, confusion? No. Then you have to be willing to change. So if you're defending where you are, you're basically saying, I don't want to go to God. This is very honest talk. You're literally saying, I don't want to grow. That's why I'm defending myself. I'm defending the part of me that got upset and insulted and challenged by what took place. Therefore, that part is what I believe in. I want to stay there. I don't want that part to be upset, and I'm willing to defend it, as opposed to a great being would never defend themselves. They would never. Not if they felt that energy for 1 second, they just let it go. That's the ultimate of letting it go. There's a story of Yogananda when he came to America in the 20s, and then he ended up with Mount Washington in California. I don't know exactly what year that was, but he was having a welcoming party to the neighbors. And that's a pretty ritzy neighborhood, Mount Washington in L.A. And so it's all socialites, and it's probably in the 30s, 40s. And they're around gossiping, and they're outside, they're around gossiping. And they were talking about Yogananda. He was wearing a turban at that time, right? He was from India. And he was standing there. They didn't know he was standing there. And the ladies, and probably gentlemen too, are sitting there gossiping. And then one turned around and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Swami Yogananda. We didn't..." He turned to her and said, "Don't worry about Yogananda. I killed him out years ago." Wouldn't that be nice? That no matter what got said or what it was, who cares? You're sitting on a little planet in the middle of nowheres. What the heck do you care what people say? That's where you have to get. And you're not going to get there if you defend yourself. Because, like I said, you have to ask, not should I? Not should I defend myself? They're thinking wrong. They said something not true. I need to defend myself. No, it's not should I. It's what are you defending? Do you want to keep what you're defending? And you get to a point, never. And you have to let go enough. You know what you really have to go through? Rough times that are hard to let go of, but you let go anyways. And then you put money in the bank. You've already invested so much in this letting go stuff that now this little thing that wants you to defend it, you look at it and say, no, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I don't care what it costs. It don't cost anything, by the way. All it costs is the ego dying. It costs a bad feeling, doesn't it? Feel that. All right? And then the mind goes, hey, you should have defended yourself. Now, what are they going to think of you? They'll probably tell somebody else that you were wrong. Good. I do not want to waste my life defending the lowest part of my being. Do you? That's a waste of your life. I don't care what you do the rest of your life. That part of your being. Now, why does the ego need to be defended? Why does it feel such defensiveness? Why does it create all that energy weird the minute it feels somebody's challenging it? Because the ego is a lie. Literally, by definition, the self-concept is a lie. It is something you made up out of thin air and said, this is who I am, this is what I am, and you better accept it. You better see me the way I want you to see me. I'll sell myself. I'll dress a certain way. I'll talk a certain way. I'll act a certain way. I'll tell you stories that kind of shine me up a little bit, or tell you stories that make you feel sorry for me. It doesn't matter. The point is, I'm selling myself all the time. To everyone you meet, to everything, you're selling yourself. You're pushing yourself out there so you're accepted. Why do you want to be accepted? Because the ego made itself up. You drop down into this body. You are not from here. The consciousness dropped down into this body, and it got lost. There's all these inputs that are going on, all the senses and all the feelings and all these things. And the consciousness, and so what it does, it tries to build solid ground. There's a chapter in The Untethered Soul called Letting Go of False Solidity. It tries to build something that it feels, this is more solid. This is my mommy. This is my daddy. This is my crib. This is my blankie. Try taking the blankie away. Right? I've defined myself as my environment. I've defined myself as the experiences I've had. I'm the person who did this, and I'm the person who did this, and I got an A in this thing, and I'm the person who failed, and people didn't like me in high school. That's not who you are. Those are the experiences you've had. How dare you define yourself as the experience you had when you existed before the experience? Didn't you? You were there, conscious, aware that the experience happened. And you cherry-picked this experience, that experience, this experience, that experience, good and bad, put them all together, and said, this is who I am. That's what your ego is. It's the made-up self-concept. What psychology called ego? Self-concept. What is a concept? Something that's not real. If I ask you, have you ever had a blub to eat? No. What's your concept of what it tastes like? Chicken? I don't know. Right? A concept is something you make up in your mind. It's not real. So you make it up, and then you choose to hold on to it. That's what your ego is. Pieces of events and experiences, people, places, things. Who are you? I'm a divorcee. Who are you? I've been married for 50 years. No, that is not who you are. That is what happened to you. Isn't it? Those are the experiences you had. And now you've defined yourself as the ones you clung to. And you built this veil inside your mind. Ego's of mind. It's just a state of mind, a collection of thoughts. You built it there. And you are holding on to that for dear life. And don't kid yourself. You don't know it until it's challenged. And you've built all these concepts. I ask you a question. I'm always surprised how many people answer. Has it ever fallen apart on you? Have you ever had a relationship or finances or a fire or something happen where that thing fell apart? Wasn't working anymore. It just doesn't work anymore. You don't know who you are. They say that, right? I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Usually relationships can do that, can't they? You build your whole thing on top of this supposedly solid ground of somebody else, and then they die on you. How dare they, right? Or they leave, or they do something you don't expect. It all falls apart. Well, that's because it's not real. You're still there. You're the ones experiencing that it fell apart. The consciousness doesn't ever go anywhere. It's there experiencing what's going on. But the psyche, it tries to build a home. To me, when Christ said, foxes of the earth have holes, birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. Yogis know what that means. Everybody has built this fake place to hang out in called the self-concept. And then they're out there trying to be okay by having you accept who I said I was. What if somebody really accepts who you say you are? Oh my God, you're so beautiful. I never thought I'd ever meet anybody like you. This is unbelievable. You're so special. How you doing? And then what if they turn around? Not April Fools. How you doing? Now you're learning what it means to live inside of, what did Christ say? Don't build your house on sand, right? You built it on something less than sand, air. And so basically you build the self-concept, and that's what you're defending. You have to defend that. Why? What happens if you don't defend it? You start to feel the panic and the fear that made you build it. If somebody's walking with a cane, and you say, why are you walking with a cane? I don't know, I forgot. Well, try walking without it, see what happens. You'll find out why you're walking with the cane. Don't defend that ego. By the way, I'm not encouraging you to listen to me, by the way. Yeah. Well, this is serious spiritual growth. But if you're serious about spiritual growth, instead of just playing around, it's serious stuff. And you look at it, why am I hanging out with this ego? You'll find out very quickly, won't you? All right? The minute something happens, if somebody doesn't say hello the way you want them to. How you doing? Yeah, that'll do it. if you're sitting there in the embrace of someone you love so much, it's so beautiful, and you sit there and say, God, I love you so much, I can't even talk about it. I love you so much. And they say, yeah, I love you too. How you doing? They told you they love you. See how sensitive it is? They have to say it exactly right with the right tone. Okay, I told you the good one is you're hugging someone you love so much and you're just melting in love and everything. They're hugging you and you just open your eyes for a minute because you want to look in their eyes. You want to see them and you notice that they have their cell phone behind your back. And, how you doing? It doesn't match your self-concept, does it? You know how many things don't match your self-concept? Almost everything. Almost everything doesn't match your self-concept. Therefore, you're out there trying to manipulate and control everybody and everything so you don't have to go through what it feels like when it doesn't match your self-concept. Why? Because you built a fortress in there. You built a fortress and you're hiding in it. And by the way, don't think it's always a positive fortress. There are people that have made depression their fortress, and you know that. No one will ever love me. I'm not worthy of being loved. Nothing will ever go right. Nothing's ever gone right. What is that? A self-concept. Is it the truth? No, it's not the truth. Is it the truth that events happened in front of that person, that not all of them were nice, or so on? Yeah. Is it true that they got so clinging to those events that they can't see the ones that are nice? Yes. So you build a house in there. I don't know what to tell you. It's not you. It's a tiny little space. I keep encouraging you to expand your space. You know how small your space is? You have this set of thoughts that are made up of your past experiences that you chose to build a self-concept out of. How much room do they really take up in comparison to how much room there is? What's outside your frame of reference? Everything. All of life, all of creation, every other person, everything. You just have this tiny little place that you built to live in, and you won't leave. And you will do everything you can to make sure nothing bothers it. So we're talking about spiritual growth, deep spiritual growth. Like people talk about, in India they call it tapasya, doing all kinds of weird things to try and challenge yourself to be able to handle these intense situations. I never understood it. Life gives them to you every single day of your life. Every single day you're challenged. There's not a chance in the world you're not, except that you're good at defending yourself. Like people sit there and say, I don't have any problems, and I'm bad. I don't do this. I would, but I don't. Right? Somebody comes to you and says, no, I go to a job, family, making money, got a corner office, drive myself a Ferrari or a Tesla, whichever one you're into, and so on. There you are. So I'm doing great. I'm fine. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm fine. Okay? What if your wife left you? What if your child died? What if you got fired? What if the stock market crashed like it did in 29? How you doing now? Are you kidding me? They'll never talk to me again if I ask them that. Why would you say things like that? That's so mean. No, it's not mean. It's a challenge to show you that you are not okay. You are conditionally okay as long as the moments in front of you match what you made up inside your head. And if they don't, you are not okay. Well, that has a lot to do with spiritual growth. Why? Because that is a very false fortress that you built, and you know it can fall apart at any time. You insure it, you do this, you do everything you can to hold it together, don't you? Do you know what it would be like not to have to hold that together? Can you imagine what liberation means? Jivan Mukta, a liberated soul, a being who lives in there, interacts fully, married, children, work, money, no money, whatever. Fully interaction just like everybody else, except isn't doing one iota of that. They're completely fine inside. They don't have any ego that they have to defend. There's no friction. There's no tension. There's no anxiety. There's just, they're in here and life is unfolding, and however it unfolds, they're fine. They're fine. They're just giving every moment whatever they have. They're interacting with life, and there's no veil of fakeness in there that they have to defend. Isn't that beautiful? Can you imagine saying the stupidest thing anybody could ever say, and everyone laughing at you and saying, yeah, that was really stupid, and that's the end of it? Wouldn't you like that? Which would you rather do? Never say anything stupid and never have to deal with that? Or not give him one flying hoot what anybody thought about you? You're just filled with joy and love, and you're coming out here to interact, to see how you can help, to see what's going on. And nothing can offend you, nothing can bother. Would you like that? You are perfectly capable of that. You are perfectly capable of that state. In yoga we call it Jivan Mukta, a liberated soul. You're free. Okay? But it's not about how many hours. Yes, you should meditate. People think I say don't meditate. I do not. It's just not about meditation. That's not everything. It's about your everyday life. Your everyday life is your guru. Your everyday life is your best friend. Your everyday life is showing you where you're not free, isn't it? It's showing you where your fears and anxieties and defensiveness is, and you have to hold it together still. I don't want you to have to hold it together. Imagine that. I want to talk about little growth. What if you didn't have to hold it together? Doesn't mean you're not together. You're just interacting with life. You don't have a thing in there. I want to talk about that. We never talk about that. Would you like to not have that thing in there that's always bothered and afraid that something will be wrong and afraid that this will happen? So you can still live your life. You just live it out of love. You live it out of giving. You live it out of inspiration and joy. Like, come on, you drop down to a planet for a few years. Surely you can handle it, can't you? It's not a big deal. It's a really nice planet, by the way. Did you know that? No, it's not nice because there are things that can happen that challenge your ego, that challenge your self-concept. There are people who don't believe the way you do. There are people that don't like you because of your religion or your color or your nationality, aren't there? Is that okay? It better be okay because it's the truth. And when everybody sits there and says, what do I do about it? Don't let it bother you. Doesn't mean you can't work with it. Doesn't mean you can't be an activist. Doesn't mean you can't march. Doesn't mean you can't do things to try and raise everything. But if you let it bother you, you wasted your life. You let people that are not as conscious as you affect the quality of your life. What good is that? So there's no self-righteousness. There's no righteous anger. There's nothing like that. If something's happening out there and it challenges your self-concept, let it go. Let what go? Don't let them go. Let you go. If you can fully accept and not be offended in any way, shape, or form, the fact that other people are offended, you stand a chance of helping. If you can't handle that they can't handle, then we got two can't handles. I never understood how getting bothered by something is better than it's already bothering. Right? You already got the one bothering. Well, I have two. So this is what it means to let go of yourself. It is what Christ meant, die to be reborn. I guarantee you. How can I say that? Because as you let it go at that level, it kills you. This is killing me. It would kill me to be like that. It would kill me to just accept this. I don't believe it. I don't like it. It would kill me. And as you do that, and you let it kill you, what do you see what happens? All of a sudden, there's all this freedom that wells up inside of you. And you become a being of light, a very great being. But you have to be willing to die to be reborn. You have to be willing to let go of yourself. And like I say, we dabble in spirituality. Now I'm talking, this is real spirituality. Life is your guru. Why? It every moment shows you where you're caught, doesn't it? All right? You talk to somebody, this, that. Your relationships teach you. Your finances teach you. Every single thing in life teaches you where you're not at, doesn't it? Teaches you where you're not free. Therefore, it gives you the opportunity every moment. Every moment. If it's not happening, you're thinking about it. You're still thinking about things that happened 10 years ago that bothered you. And life is showing you, how stupid is that? It's not even happening. You have a constant opportunity to let go of yourself. And that's what spirituality is about. Dying to be reborn. Letting go of yourself. Letting go of yourself. All right? Well, but it hurts. Of course it hurts. But I told you why it hurts. It hurts because what if you had amnesia? Total amnesia. You had a car accident, somebody got knocked out, and you were in a foreign place, and you didn't know who you were, you didn't know anything about a relative, you didn't know anything about, you knew nothing about your life. That's scary. I can't imagine anything would be scarier than that. And I guarantee you watch that person, they'll rebuild that life as fast as they can. You understand that? Just, okay, well, this is the person who found me. That's my friend. That's my new family. They're just going to grab. Buddhists call it clinging. You grab and cling and build a concept. That's what you are doing underneath all the time, ever since you were little. You literally have concepts about what happened to you in kindergarten, in 5th grade. I played Dorothy in the 5th grade Wizard of Oz, and they all applauded. How old are you now? 65, but I keep the pictures. What? I always challenge you like this. Let's say you go back to a reunion. You go back, right? And you're sitting there, and you know your friends, they all saw you. And all of a sudden, there's somebody in the corner talking about, yeah, I was Dorothy at that play. No. I was Dorothy. It is going to bother you so much. And 50 years ago, it's the most meaningless thing in the world. They're going to kill you. You understand that? I'm telling you why. because you built your house brick by brick on these experiences, good experiences and bad experiences. And then you just built this up and you say, this is who I am. That's what your politics is. You do not decide who to vote for. You do not decide what you like. You do not decide what part of an argument you're in favor of. You do not. Your past experiences do. And if you had an experience, I had a friend in college, wow, that he kept changing his religion. Right? We were into yoga. I was meditating and stuff like that. He's this, and he's Jewish. And he's that into yoga again, and Buddhism. And what's going on? All right? And I finally noticed, depending on who he was dating, that's the heart will take you a lot of places. You understand that? Okay? This is what you're looking at. This is how shallow it is. The ego wants to get what it thinks it needs to be okay. And the ego wants to avoid what it thinks is going to make it worse. That's the strongest statement I'd ever say to you. You want a definition of ego? That which is inside of you, that it wants to make things happen so it feels good. And that which is inside of you that doesn't want things to happen makes it feel bad. And most people spend their entire life trying to listen to that and tell me how it works out. Because it doesn't work out. It can't possibly work out. All right? Why? Because you always have more experiences that change what it wants. Right? Just believe that if you get this new car, you'd be so popular, it'd be so wonderful, right? They get the new car and it'll break down constantly. Things aren't always the way you think they're going to be, are they? And I guarantee you, if you thought this was the thing that would make me happy and something went wrong, now it hate it. How long does it take? There's no way anyone ever was okay by serving the ego. Why? The ego's not okay. It was built out of not okayness. It was built out of a sense of loss, as a sense of having to define myself, to make a fake me. There are people who talk like this in a relationship. I realize, I know, just tell me what you want. I can be that. No, don't leave. Just tell me. I can change. I can be what you want. What are you saying? That I'm fake. I'll be whatever you want me to be. I just need you so much, and I'm so scared of being hurt that I would change my behavior, I would change what I believe, I would change my religion, I would do every single thing, whatever. In other words, it's a total veil of fraud. Who's in there? That's spirituality. Who is in there afraid of being hurt? Who is in there that's willing to use their will to make all these changes to that little house they built there? That's the consciousness. So yoga, spirituality, is about that. It's about sitting there saying, I don't want to carry this weight for the rest of my life. I've carried it every day so far. And can I really live without that garbage inside of me? So sensitive and afraid and every little thing bothers me and so on? Yes, you can. How? By letting go. By not devoting yourself to what the ego has to say. But it's scary. Of course it's scary. Ask a drug addict to stop doing the drug. Come on, talk to a drug addict, heroin addict, right? You lost your family, this is falling apart. Do you really want to keep doing this drug? No, you're right, I don't. And then they go right out and do it again. It's not easy to stop, is it? This is worse. You know, I know why going through withdrawal of your ego is worse than going through withdrawal of heroin. Why? The reason you do heroin is to get rid of your ego. The reason you do any drug is because you can't handle yourself. People challenge that. Any drug. Your psychedelics, your pot, anything, any alcohol, anything. I'm not judging. I'm just telling you, the reason you do a substance is because you're not happy with the state that you're in. Say if you were filled with love and joy and bliss, right? And somebody said, hey, you want to get drunk? No, I want to get drunk. Just a little drink? No. You want a toke? No. I'm very, very happy the way I am. I'm filled with joy and love. That's not telling you shouldn't do stuff. I don't tell you what to do with your life. But I do ask you to be brutally honest with your Ramdas today, right? Are you willing to be brutally honest? The only reason anyone ever did a substance was they were not satisfied with the state of their inner being. And the substance freed them a little bit, okay? So you wake up and you just, I know you're going to have to go through all this stuff. It's not going to happen immediately. You're going to talk about setting the Polestar of your life. That's what he called it, the Polestar. I'm asking you to set the Polestar way higher than where you set it. You're setting, well, I could find somebody who's always nice to me and loyal and so on. I could get the job that it turns me on. That's not a Polestar. That's feeding your ego. Why are you not happy with everything? Why are you not happy with your job as it is? Because my ego has issues, doesn't it? He got a raise. Why didn't I get the raise? There you go. That's pure ego. It's all ego. And so you can't be okay. So you need to set your Polestar really low, which says, if I can get what ego wants, I'll be okay. And if I can avoid what ego doesn't want, I'll be okay. How okay? Conditionally okay, and you'll have to fight for it your entire life. Set the Polestar up here. I don't need anything. I'm whole and complete with myself, but I've messed myself up. I'm busy blocking myself and fighting and struggling and tensing, aren't I? I would love to not have to do that at least 1 hour of my life. Just once before I die, to be free, to be liberated, to wake up in the morning. I told you how a high being wakes up in the morning. I wonder what's going to happen. That's what Leshni views little children. It's just, there's not a thing on your mind. Why would there be something on your mind? It's already happened. That day's gone. Why'd you bring it into this day? Of course you want to screw up your life? Take every single thing that ever bothered you for your entire life and bring it into the next day. You do that, don't you? And if you do that, you're going to be bothered. You have to struggle. It's a struggle. It's a fight. You want to be free? Learn not to do that. Not don't do that. You don't know how to don't do that. And I'm not asking you to don't do that. I'm asking you to learn, to be willing to at least set your aspiration higher than getting what your ego wants and avoiding what it doesn't want. You set your aspiration up to, can I really be free to enjoy life? Just life. It doesn't matter what it is. Just be on the planet. I told you, this is a very special planet. We have never found an amoeba anywhere else. And we got these telescopes that really look very far, don't they? And we sent Voyager out there. It already left the solar system. We have sent probes to every single planet in the solar system. What have we found? Nothing. I want you to compare what we found on any of those planets or moons to the planet Earth. Trees, dolphins, people, things, colors, nothing. There's nothing. Isn't that funny? And you think it's a terrible life. Well, you're wrong. What's terrible is what you've done to yourself inside by building these blockages and this veil of fear and need and insecurity and et cetera, et cetera. So now that when a beautiful, beautiful world unfolds, it's all beautiful compared to nothing. What percentage of the universe is nothing? 99.999999999999999999999. Really, just get off the planet for a minute. Go 93 million miles, say, to the next star. That's a very long way, right? How many miles is the circumference of the Earth? I think it's 23,000 miles, something like that. I don't know if I get my numbers exactly right, but it's close. All right? 23,000 miles, you travel around the Earth. 93 million miles is this first star. Well, where's the next star? 4.2 light years away. Well, that doesn't mean anything. What's a light year? You ready? Pay attention. I caught a beam of light in my hand. I'm standing above the Earth. I let it go for 1 second. It circumnavigated the globe 7.5 times in 1 second. Do that every second for 4.2 years. You'll get to the next star. What's in between? Nothing. Interstellar space. It's that way between all the stars. And there's 300 billion of them in your galaxy. And there's 2 trillion galaxies. And you get to be on this gorgeous planet. It's like, this is the Garden of Eden. Don't go look for the Garden of Eden. Well, the Garden of Eden would have had orchids growing in the wild. It would have dolphins jumping up out of the thing. It would have all these animals and fishes and birds and they sing to you in the morning. You don't have to pay them or anything. It's like, what kind of planet is that? You live on a planet that in order to get here, a 3D printer inside of a lady's womb takes cells and goes, lays the cells down, and all of a sudden this baby comes out. That's how we all got here. And you're just complaining about everything. It's the stupidest thing in the world, isn't it? So you set your Polestar to understand you dropped out of the planet Earth for a few years. You're going to have lots of experiences. Just don't decide what they should be. All right? They'll just be different every day. Isn't every day different? Right? You have all these experiences. But you're not struggling. You're not fighting. You didn't make your Polestar your ego. Now you understand what ego means? It means this is about me. The world should be about me. I should get what I want. How come I can't get what I want? How come she doesn't like me? How come he likes her? How come I never... It's just me. Isn't that funny? And so your world is so small that you got an ingrown toenail, right? It's all this and it hurts, okay? But there's this entire universe and you dropped down on this planet. Why won't you think like that? But you have to be willing to let go of your ego. And it's not easy. Because what? Because there's a reason you have an ego. Why? Because you needed it because you're scared to death and lost in there. That's what's really going on. You know that, don't you? Deep inside, I'm okay as long as I can handle this, as long as it's not too bad, right? Deep inside, you know it's in there. I don't care what it is. It's insecurity, fear, and it's just trying to be okay. It's trying to be okay. And sometimes it's relatively okay, but it can change, can't it? That's why you worry. So that's why there's an ego. You have to be willing. Now let's talk about how do you get out. Can you get out? Yes. Can you get out? I mean, out. You know what out means? Totally free. Totally open every minute, every second. To live your life fully. Doesn't mean you can get what you want. There is no want. You're filled with joy. You're filled with love. You're filled with Shakti. And now you come out and you help. You serve. Why am I serving? Because you don't need anything. Otherwise, you're taking. Here, watch this. Let's be romantic. I want to find somebody. Somebody who's just exactly what I've always dreamt and I always want to take. That's not romantic. I'm trying to take. There's a world out there. I need things. I need to take it. And the person better be the way I thought they were. They'd be big trouble. They'd sleep on the couch for a week. All right? I want you to imagine what it's like to be free. Can you be free? Yes. Can everyone be free? Yes. But I've done terrible things. I couldn't care less. It doesn't make the slightest difference in the entire world. This is how you deal with your past. Are you ready? Once and for all, get it straight. Of course you hurt people. Of course things didn't go right. Why? Because you're not okay. And you're trying to defend yourself and protect yourself and take what you need to try to be okay, right or wrong. And that way you hurt other people? Left people who loved you, this, that, and then you yelled, screamed, carried on. Right? That's why. Now the question isn't, did that happen? Of course it happened. Of course it happened. Now you're awake. You're more awake. The question isn't, did that happen? The question is, if the exact same situation happened again now, would you do the same thing? And you know what people say to me? They like turn white. They say, of course not. Of course not. It's bothered me ever since it happened. I would never do that again. I wasn't conscious enough. I wasn't awake enough. Mazel tov. You learned. You learned. That's what you're here for. You're here to get liberated. That means you're not. It means your starting position isn't perfect and liberated, so of course you did all kinds of crap. But if you learn from it, then you use your life properly. And if you set your Polestar to the highest and you just keep doing the best you can of letting go along the way, there's no guilt, there's no shame, there's no anything like that. Don't you dare do that. Just look and make sure you learned. Look and make sure that, I mean, look at the stuff you did in high school. It was embarrassing to look at, isn't it? Okay? As you get more conscious. And so basically you look at it and say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to everything. Thank you to the people that caused me the most problems. Thank you. Because I had to work my way through them. All right. First of all, can you free yourself? Yes, 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 yes. Period. How do I know that? Because you're the one who's holding that stuff inside of you. That would happen in the past. It isn't happening anymore. Why is it inside? Because you're keeping it there. There's no glue in there. There's nothing that holds anything in there except your will. So that which you held on to from 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, you're still holding on to. How do you know? Yeah, wait, here's a test. If it comes back up, does it ever come back up? Answer me. Does it ever come back up? Do you push it back down? Fast as you can. I told you not to talk about that. I just asked you not to talk about that. Give me a minute. This is terrible. Why'd you have to do that? And they go, push it away. Push it away. All right? That's why it's down there. It's down there because you're keeping it down there. So what does it mean to become free? It means to set your Polestar way above where you've been setting it. I want out. I want out. Doesn't mean I don't interact with life. I want out of me. I want out. How do you get out? By not protecting your ego. That's the highest spiritual teaching. All right? I don't want to call it let go of your ego, get rid of your ego. How do you know how to do that? Don't protect your ego. I started by telling you about defensiveness, didn't I? If you protect your ego, you win the booby prize. You get to keep it. You get to keep protecting it, all right? Your ego is what is between you and ecstasy, between you and a life of complete well-being and joy and shedding light for everybody else. It's not selfish. You're being selfish to try to get what you want. When you stop needing and you're full, then you can help others. So basically, you let go. How? You will be given an opportunity every day, really almost every minute of every day, to watch what I've been talking about all night, to see how caught we are in ourselves and everything having to be the way we want and how sensitive everything is, both mentally and emotionally. All right? Start letting go. That's what we teach, letting go. What do you mean letting go? If you start to feel the energy disturb you, what energy? You know what I'm talking about. You live with it every day of your life. Does it ever get weird in there? Ever get nervous in there? Ever get like this? Yes or no? Okay? There. That's the energy I'm talking about. It gets weird. It gets blocked. It gets sensitive. It gets reactive. Ever get reactive? I beg you, start somewheres and let go. What does that mean, let go? Relax in the face of the disturbance. That's what letting go means. Letting go is not like you grab it and throw it away. That's not letting go. Letting go is relax in the face of the disturbance. Letting go isn't making sure it doesn't get disturbed. No, that's not letting go. That's manipulation. That's control. That's suppression. It's going to feel disturbed, isn't it? But I'm not talking about big things. I don't want to wait till somebody leaves you or dies or says something terrible. No. I want that you're driving down the road and you've already stopped for 2 stupid traffic lights and the third one's going to turn red and the driver in front of you won't get out of the way. And, you just talk about it. It just gets a little weird, gets a little anxious, gets a little uncomfortable. How about uncomfortable? Is that a good word? All right? If you want to stay uncomfortable, just keep doing it. If you want to learn how to not stay uncomfortable, you have to be able to handle uncomfortable. I'm not trying to make it not be uncomfortable. I'm trying to be comfortable with it being uncomfortable. That's the highest I can say what letting go means. I am comfortable that this is not comfortable right now. I don't want a big thing. I want the fact that it's raining. You have to get out of the car because you might get wet. All right? You drop something on your slacks and you go back to work. The boss walked by and said hello to the worker next to you but didn't say hello to you. These really big things, They happen all the time, don't they? I used to tell a story that when I was first starting all this stuff back in 72 or something, I had a van, VW van. I was a hippie. And drove it up. I was going somewhere, whatever, by myself. And I was driving through a town. In Alabama, I would never be in a million years. I don't know these people. I just stopped at 7-Eleven to get something. And I walked out, and I took the change out of my pocket, and I dropped it. I dropped a few cents on the ground and on the floor. And I literally watched him. I was watching him like a hawk, right, in those days. He was embarrassed to bend down and pick him up, all right? You don't know these people. You will never see these people again for the rest of your life. Do you understand that? But he was embarrassed. He felt embarrassed. I made him pick it up. I made him, right? He might not have. I made him bend and pick it up. Anybody relate to anything I'm telling you? Thank you. That's what Ramdas meant by brutally honest. Okay? Are you willing to be brutally honest? Those are the moments that are important. Why? That's not a big deal. Right? It's not like you're somebody leaving you or your kid doing drugs or whatever it is. It's some stupid little thing that the ego self-concept even has something about that. Okay? Like those of you who come and meditate in the morning with us, I do these energization exercises in the morning that Yogananda taught. Right, so twice a day, do these energization exercises. Well, they're rather weird, right? They include beating yourself on the head and doing all kinds of weird things, right? And same trip, I was driving and I stopped at a little picnic area on the side of the road, and there were people, it was Alabama, and there were people picnicking and barbecuing and so on. But it was time to do the energization exercises. And I used to be very, very strict about it. And so there's no way he wanted to do it. I'm very fun thinking about what he was like. There was no way he was getting out of that car with all these Alabamans, just doing their little thing with their dogs and the kids and the barbecues and everything. They had never seen anything like this, right? And this guy's going to get out of the car, long hair, and start beating himself in the head and do all kinds of weird stuff. I made him do it. He did it. He got out of the car. I'm not encouraging you to be that strict. I was very strict, right? I learned how to do it. I learned how to relax through it instead of fighting with him, right? You're going to go through all kinds of things. Once you see how bad that ego is, how much trouble it causes, you don't feel like you're in a barrel of roaches, and out. All right, that thing's creepy, all right? And you can see how much control it has over your life. You can't rip it off. You can't fight with it. What you do is relax through it. You just relax, okay? You want to be weird? You want to be uncomfortable? I can be okay with you being weird. I can be okay with you. Somebody wrote me recently and said they learned how to quiet their mind by struggling and fighting and doing all this kind of stuff, right? It's higher than that. I want you to reach a state where the mind can do anything it wants to do, the heart can do anything it needs to do, and you're just fine. It doesn't even distract you. You don't even feel the tendency to go down and do anything about it. You have a bad day, it's funny. Ever had a day where everything goes wrong, right? You drop everything, you bump into everybody, and everybody yells at you, right? And it's just, imagine, it's just fun, it's just fine. That's higher than making it not happen. Why? Because you don't have to stay there to keep it right. You're free to go to God. All right, Yukta an ignored guest quickly leaves. These gurus, these great beings, they say one-liners. Not me, I take an hour, right? They say one-liners. What does that mean? An ignored guest quickly leaves. It means you're not trying to stop your mind. You're not trying to stop your heart. If you're fine with whatever they do, they don't bother doing it. It stops. You're in there struggling with it. That keeps it going. All right? So little by little, learn to be okay with not being okay. Learn to let go. Just relax. Little things. The driver in front of you, the lights, the rain, the weather, the cold. Just relax. I dare you to learn to relax. Just learn with the simple things. I always end my talks this way, right? It's like you learn to play the piano, not by starting with Beethoven or Mozart. You play the scales. Start this at the simplest level. Relax. And you're going to learn to do it. You're going to learn that if you let go, things don't build up inside of you. They don't leave marks. They don't leave scars. And then what's going to happen, then the next thing happens a little bigger. You're able to do that. And pretty soon, it doesn't even take that long, you're able to handle the little things that happened during the day of your life. And you look back and say, I used to be bothered by this stuff. And you just laugh about stupid things, right? I bother myself about the stupidest little things in the world. Now I'm not, so I feel more joy. And then bigger things will happen. You let those go. And eventually, I always finish my talks that way, you're going to find out, don't take my word for it, I don't want you to take my word for it, I want you to find out for yourself, that as you let that go and don't bother yourself about everything, this energy starts to well up inside of you. What energy? Love, joy, inspiration, beauty. It's just always going on inside of you, right? It's like, no, it's my day to do the dishes. You did them yesterday, I want to do it today too. Right? You just fill with inspiration, fill with love. It doesn't matter what you're doing, it's just joy. And you realize that's because I let go of this garbage. I'm letting go of my ego. And the more you let go, the higher it gets. And you see a direct relationship. The more you let go of yourself, the more this beautiful energy starts welling up inside of you until it intoxicates you day and night. So basically, this is what it means to set the Polestar. But look at how we started talking about this. Do you ever find yourself being defensive? I dare you to watch for even one day, 1 hour, and watch how strong defensiveness is. And by the way, if you're not even defending yourself about what somebody said, see if you're thinking about defending yourself about what somebody said before or might say in the future. You're going to see you've devoted your life to your ego. You devoted your life to the lowest part of your being. Set the Polestar higher and little by little let go. Little by little. All right. Will you work on these things? All right. Jai Gurudev.